Listen, you're not gonna find anything on me, okay? Trust me.
Empty your pockets into the tray, sir, or we'll have to. Your pockets, sir?
Lady, the problem isn't in my pants.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's time to talk all things X-Men. This week we are going to talk about the penultimate issue of Hellions, as we're about to lose the best ongoing series at Marvel Comics at the moment. We'll also talk a little bit about the Rebecca Roanhorse interview on Adventures in Poor Taste that I already did a video on. And then Doc and I are actually going to talk about the first issue of Phoenix Song Echo by the aforementioned Rebecca Roanhorse. How you doing, Doc? You are the X-Men historian, the Marvel aficionado.
I'm wonderful, sir. This is a good morning, and I'm really looking forward to talking about Hellions. Not so much Phoenix Song Echo, but I will.
It's relevant. We got to get to it and add a little bit more
Exactly.
perspective to something I've already talked to you about here on the channel. But let's get into the good news. Let's talk about Zeb Wells, Steven Segovia, Hellions number 17, the penultimate issue. We saw in the last issue, the right basically had kidnapped the smiley robot baby from Nanny. She was not very nice to Orphan Maker about it. She was crash landed. This drama is going on as apparently Psylocke will never find her daughter who had been uploaded in digital form. There was a lot of, turns out there were some fail-safe measures in. Things were blown up. The friendships were lost, and we're kind of going to the ends here. And I'm going to be honest, this thing is quite action-packed. It says, we've already laid the foundation. Now let's get to a satisfying conclusion. And we haven't really seen Orphan Maker, the character himself, really stand out a whole lot during this series. Nanny has definitely stood out a lot. But this is Orphan Maker's issue, Doc.
Yeah, up until now, any real focus that Orphan Maker's had in this title has been mostly as comic relief. Him playing that very, in a very manly body and the giant armor and the big guns, but also acting like whether or not he does or not, having like the mind of a child, very immature, always trying to essentially get his nanny's attention and trying to be a good boy for Nanny. And now you've seen from time to time him cut loose, but it was always in, with him and Scalp Hunter and Nanny and oftentimes Wild Child, especially after they all came back from Araco, all beefed up. And so you're getting this issue, you actually get to see him kind of just really cut loose all on his own, see what kind of a badass he can really be when he really puts his foot down. And
it's pretty funny, Doc, because it's like a 10-year-old with a giant gun and he's calling people buttheads.
Yep.
He's saying, I am good enough. And I know nobody makes fun of me, kind of stuff.
Exactly. It's like a 10-year-old throwing a giant temper tantrum and trying to prove something to the bullies on the playground, except for a massive freaking gun and a giant like mech armor suit. It's kind of hilarious and destructive at the same time. It's really good fun. Zeb Wells has a great ability to mix that action and humor. Like, there's not a lot of writers at Marvel right now that are actually funny. There's a lot that try to be. Most of them fail miserably at it. Zeb Wells is one of the few. I've always noticed that he's got all the way back to the early 2000s, he's got a pretty good sense of humor, and he knows how to balance in, he can balance in the action and the comedy to his stories, as well as kind of like the very touching, emotional, story or like character moments. He's got a great balance for that, and he knows exactly when to hit a one-liner. So it's perfect.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It obviously culminates in a pretty big scene where it turns out he can't stop himself, even though he's essentially destroyed everything, and he ends up killing a couple of local cops. So pretty dramatic ending. But in the meantime, the team get back together to go and track down Orphan Maker. Everybody except Empath, right? They're like, "You're not done with this. We all hate your guts."
Yeah, they left Manuel back because, well, I mean, he's really the catalyst for the destruction of the team, going back a couple issues. So now Scalp Hunter hates him, partially because he's in love with Psylocke. Psylocke hates him because he, influenced Alex to destroy the whole that whole place, that whole compound. She hates Sinister because he was holding that over her. The only person that I think she doesn't really hate at this point is Wild Child. And
well, that's because she tamed him.
Yeah.
Like her. Yeah.
Yeah. And now Nanny's all messed up. She's, she had gotten thrown out of her ship, and then the ship got taken by the right. It got, even though it didn't really make it there, that was the one part that I was like, wait, didn't it just crash land like just a couple miles
that's what
away?
They said in the comic. Yeah.
Yeah. Then how the hell
she was in the Healing Gardens?
Yeah. So how the hell did the baby make it all the way to Arizona? That's the one thing I was confused about. But regardless, I don't really care. It was still a fun comic.
So the baby, ends up being a pretty big plot device here. Obviously, that is what has got Orphan Maker on this trip. He's even calling the baby his brother. Nanny makes it on the scene, and she immediately takes the baby. And it turns he's saying mew mew. It turns out he's saying mutant. And this baby Smiley hates mutants and blows himself up, killing Nanny. My goodness! Obviously, that is the precursor for Orphan Maker going nuts and killing everybody.
Exactly. The mutant. It was a mutant AI Smiley that they thought was going to, because it is a mutant, it would, it was a mutant AI that it would, I guess, identify a little bit more with the actual mutants and maybe reject its makers. But watching Nanny's ex-husband literally just start like almost doubling over laughing at the irony of it. It was very, very ironic that Orphan Maker and Nanny made such a big deal about protecting this baby mutant Smiley AI, only for it to still hate them. And it was, but now they've destroyed this whole right compound. I wish we would have seen a little bit more of those right soldiers, the ones that,
so here's my only problem with the issue, Doc. I'll get this out of the way. So within comic books, the characterization of Christians is essentially evil across the board. You will never see, other than maybe Daredevil, and in Daredevil, the only time he talks about being a Christian is when he's questioning his faith and he's losing his faith in God. So here we have this team of characters that are on the right, and they are definitely using a lot of verbiage that definitely says that we are fundamentalist Christians and we're insane, and in the name of Christianity, we're going to try and destroy all mutants. I don't know that it's exactly Zeb Wells' fault that this is the way that Christians are essentially characterized across the board in all comic books, but it gets old.
It really does. I mean, look, I'm an atheist and I'm tired of it. I understand it with the right. The problem is it's been done so often. It's ridiculously cliched at this point. And if you're going to do it, there needs to be some degree of counterbalance here, with a positive, Christian team or character that's actually central to their faith or central to their character, and instead of just a little thing that's tacked on at the end to add conflict later, like something that actually, Nightcrawler's a character that he's
Is
motivated,
giving up his faith as we're reading.
but we've watched him give up his faith over the entire Krakoan era, but a guy that was, a lifelong
Grounded.
Catholic, and that was very central to his character. And they've just kind of dropped that. They've dropped it really from Daredevil. And the only time you see Christians is when it's some fundamentalist wacko, that Branch Davidian level crazy. And there seems to be no moderation to it. And it's
probably
really
not
tiring.
Zeb Wells' fault. It kind of fits in with the story, but at this point, it's so tiring. It's like, oh, I don't care who does it. It's so boring.
Yeah. I mean, there needed to be, honestly, it would have made it a little bit better if there was somebody on the panel there from the right that was like, yo, these people are nuts. I just want to get out of here. Like, I believe I have a faith, but these people are taking it way too damn far. And like, have something like that. And hell, it would have probably added a little bit more conflict to the story instead of just crazy Christian bad guys. Now, but I guess this is what we're living with.
That's my issue with the comic book. Otherwise, it's really, really good. I give it 4 out of 5. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
I have it, but that's like a Marvel issue. It's not so much of this comic book issue, but it's so prevalent. But the action's great. There's great jokes. There's humor drama. There's some big twists, some turns as we get back to the return of Madeline Pryor in Hellions number 18 and the final issue of the series. I'm sad it's gone, but damn, these things really deliver.
It really did. It's honestly, I think there was maybe one issue of this entire series that wasn't a highly recommend, like a 4+ star comic. And like they even managed to make Dinner Party of Swords and
the best issues
and Halo or Hellfire Party or whatever the shit it was. Those issues tolerable. So Zeb Wells is still probably the best superhero writer in that, probably at that company right now. And I'm disappointed he's leaving this book.
So let's get on to the Rebecca Roanhorse interview with Adventures in Portes. Obviously, I've had my say. I don't know if you checked out the video or the interview. What were your thoughts just overall on that?
I feel like she fundamentally misunderstands what the Phoenix is.
Okay, we're talking about the comic book. I was going to talk about what she said beforehand, where I took my inspiration from Jason Aaron's 1 million BC Avengers. That's my that Phoenix. Part. I haven't actually read the X-Men. Well, I don't really read comic books. I did not actually pitch this story. Marvel pitched the story to me.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, she doesn't understand who the Phoenix is. Like, she doesn't understand what the Phoenix is as a force. And you have somebody that doesn't know what she's doing writing this series. I mean, okay, fine, I guess, but I mean, look, this is just once again proving to me that anybody not named Grant Morrison or Chris Claremont or Louise Simonson should not write the Phoenix. I mean, it's more evidence of that. Like Jason Aaron, she's inspired by Jason Aaron, but Jason Aaron fundamentally doesn't understand what the Phoenix is. You're having the Phoenix is kind of one of like the few recurring, completely cosmic level characters that people get excited when they see the Phoenix Force back in comics. And to have somebody that doesn't really even, in my opinion, really even respect comic books, has no real interest in them, and is just doing it because it's a gig and it gets to play in, a sandbox of what's currently popular in pop culture in order to, in my opinion, just, raise the raise the profile of a Native American character just for the sake of raising the profile of a Native American character for representation purposes. It seems just pointless. I mean, why?
It's a really weird story as well. Like, so she's the Phoenix, and obviously the Phoenix is, it's unpredictable. You never know exactly what's going to happen. She ends up starting this fire, but she kind of gains control. It's Maya once again, and she sees that this little girl, and this little girl's like, "You started the fire." She's like, "Huh, I did start that fire," and like leaves, just lets her burn up.
Yeah, like
kills all these people.
Yeah,
like, is this a fucking hero? And then Elektra, as Daredevil, is like, "You're a murderer," and she can't say I'm not because she is.
Exactly. I mean, she literally murdered a dude in a jewelry heist.
Well, I get a little girl. Well,
and she murdered that. She essentially murdered that entire apartment building of anybody that didn't get out.
Yes.
Like, because you could see, like, when they showed the shot from outside, there's like 50 friggin' apartments in that building, and there's people with their heads sticking out, all of them screaming, "Help me!" And I'm pretty sure they just all died. So congratulations.
Like, huh, I did start this fire. I should get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, are we going to rename this
use your
arsonist?
Power to save anybody, Phoenix.
Yeah. If you have the control over the fire, pull the fire back in, you dumb bitch. I mean, come on.
It was like that part was really bad, and Elektra was 100% correct. He was like, "You're a murderer."
Yeah,
and it doesn't look good for the hero whatsoever. I think that she's supposed to be a hero. Then there's another spot where she's like accusing Forge of mansplaining.
Well,
it's like,
before we go to that, I did want to address how she was doing, like why she was in that situation in the first place. And this part I kind of get. I get where they were starting this story from. She was a street level character that was mostly, had a history of dealing with small time petty, theft and break-ins and, muggings and stuff like that. So when she gets these cosmic powers, she's inclined to go and still deal with situations like that. So I get why she was doing that, because that's just like her natural inclination as a hero. But at the same time, once she failed miserably at it, like, wow, she needed to really do something about it. It's like, but they just entirely forgot. Like, that was just to teach her a lesson. Like, basically 500 people in that building died so that she could teach the lesson. She could be taught the lesson of, hey, you're not a street level hero anymore, and you need to think bigger. But then, yeah, you get to the Forge thing, and
he's so shoehorned into this story. He doesn't, like, anybody could have been there, I guess.
Yeah, he's shoehorned in because he's another Native American character. That's the only reason. Now, does he theoretically fit? Yeah, he does have. But the thing is, Forge has no history with the damn Phoenix. He didn't join the X-Men until long after Jean gave up the power. Like, wasn't an X-Man anymore. He was never part of Excalibur when Rachel had the power, and he was not even in the X-books when Grant gave Jean back that power. So he has exactly zero history with the Phoenix in order to make the weird psionic gun, lasso gun thing that he made, or that sinking underground box. It made no sense. It was just there to A, stick another Native American character in there, and B, to use the phrase mansplaining. That's it.
Yeah, it's really stupid. It's pretty cringy. And then I don't know, did anything happen at the end? I think so. She goes to the res.
Yeah, she goes to the res.
Find Chief, but he's dead.
Yeah, and then I'm guessing, I think this might be that Werewolf by Night guy. I from the more recent one. I don't know who this dude's supposed to be. I know it's supposed to be Chief's grandson, but I feel like it was just like, hey, let's stick like a hot 20-year-old all jacked guy in there in place of like the old man, so that she has a romantic love interest. I feel like that's the purpose of this change.
But it's a shitty comic. That's what I'm saying.
It is. It's just really bland. Nothing happens. I mean, also, I think the thing that really stuck out to me the most was the artist not understanding what bullets look like after they were fired. When in that first scene at the jewelry store, when she stops the bullets and the casings are still on the bullets when she drops them down to the ground, that irritated the crap out of me.
The whole book irritated the crap. Yeah. I mean, it's just because when you read the interview and you go back and look at it, you're like, yeah, I get it. You don't like X-Men. You don't like comic books. You didn't want to write this story. Someone made you do it by giving you money. And, that is what you get. And apparently this writer does not know heroes. No. Heroes do need to overcome mistakes. One of those mistakes normally isn't mass murder.
Yes.
Once you've killed about, 40 people, it's hard to redeem the character. You can't start out at that point because you've gone so low that the character's not a hero anymore.
No, they're basic. At best, they are an anti-hero. An anti-hero Phoenix.
This if it was a building full of bad guys. This is a little girl.
Yeah, exactly. Look, they put the Hulk on the run for like 5 years during the Bruce Jones run because there was the chance that he might have accidentally killed a child during one of his rampages. And this chick just straight up like involuntary manslaughtered like a couple hundred people in an apartment building because she decided to use flamethrower powers to stop a robbery. No, you're not a hero. And the thing is, I think the thing that pissed me off the most was they made no attempt to do anything with those characters other than basically use them as, a bunch of dead people as a learning, oopsie doopsie, I made a mistake.
There we go. That's the follow up to the Rebecca Roanhorse stuff. We don't need to talk about the comic very much longer. It's not very good. So I say definitely go check out Hellions. It is a fantastic comic book. You're gonna love it. And you go read the Rebecca Roanhorse interview. You go read that issue of Phoenix Song. You're gonna see exactly. She's not lying. She does not know comic books. Doesn't know X-Men, and had obviously very little interest in writing this character.
Yep. Go check out Hellions. It was dope.